Today I'm going to show you how I do maintenance on my worm bin for my mini flow-through worm system. The basics of how this works is I just have a small bin that I picked up from Home Depot, and I always feed them on one side, and every week when I check on them I move this over until I finally have completed castings all the way on the other side. It makes it very easy to harvest when it's time to pull stuff out, and it makes it easy to like check it on it, and it allows me to like come in once every other week. I feed it once every 2 weeks, just to sort of check on my worms, see how they're doing. So right here I have a bunch of completed castings with barely any worms in them. So I can go and I can pull these out, and I don't have to worry about depopulating my worm bin because there's hardly anybody in it. I'll maybe pick out a few large worms that I see coming up here, but it's a really easy way to get completed castings. I don't have to sort or do any of those more labor-intensive procedures some people do to get finished castings out of their bin. We'll maybe sprinkle a few, and then usually the driest stuff on the top is where there's least worms, so I'll usually just grab a few of those. There's a good amount of worm castings ready for the garden. So, and then next what I'll do is I'll go through all of the bin, and I'll reach down inside and pull it up. Basically all I'm doing here is I'm aerating the bin, making sure that air can get down and feed the type of bacteria that I want to encourage. The type of bacteria I want is air breathing, so I have to make sure air and oxygen gets all the way down to the bottom of the bin. The smell that we associate with stinky, rotting things is quite often the anaerobic bacteria, the bacteria that break stuff down without oxygen. And I want to make this a good environment for oxygen breathing bacteria, the kind I want to encourage. So I just go down and I'll pull it up, I fluff it up, making sure all parts of it can breathe some air. So that's a lot of very finished castings. So I'll be able to keep my small garden fed really for the majority of the summer, and I'll just pull these out as I need it, stacking it up on the side here so it'll dry out and the worms will leave. So when I check on this again in 2 weeks, I'll have another set of worm castings ready to go, ready to pull out, ready to go into the garden. So it's really a very simple and easy to maintain system, and wow, it's the worms seem to like it. Compared to all the other systems that I've tried, it's maybe a little bit more, sorry I bumped the camera there, a little bit more labor intensive, but it's an average of 5 minutes a week, 10 minutes every other week really. And I also like the fact that I actually get to go down and actually check on my worms. I'm not worried whether or not they're okay. I get to come and I actually get to like see them and see how they're doing, and I can see their numbers go up. So that's another super encouraging thing. As I've started this, I may have found like a single big blob of worms in my bin when I was starting, but now it's all over. So like their numbers are absolutely increasing. So the last thing I do is, as I sort of move the food over, if there's any big chunks that aren't completely broken down like these ones, I'll go ahead and throw them off to the side, so they have a little bit more time to break down, and I'll move over the the more completed stuff. So I do a little bit of sorting. It gives things that need more time to break down more time to break down. And yeah, I just have never had this many worms. I'm actually a little bit concerned about it because I don't know what I'm going to feed them all. Good problem to have, I suppose. One other thing I can feel as I'm going through this, that won't come through on the camera, as I'm on this side where I fed more recently, and there's actually food actively breaking down, it's much warmer. And it's you know, a June day. It's not super hot yet. It is warm. And it's part of the reason why I'm seeing the worms spread out a little bit more. In the cool winter, they actually migrate over to where the food's breaking down and where it's warm. They do that a little bit less here in the summer. All right, so when I feed them, you always want to add like a bedding. This is a place for the worms to go, where they kind of live on. Here, I just shred some of the cardboard I get from boxes. Well, everyone always has way too many boxes, and this allows me to reuse some of them more directly. This is something like a backup food for them to eat, and it's also like where they like to live. So it's a great thing to have. It's hard to have too much bedding. If you do, the one thing to look out for is the only way too much bedding can be a bad thing is if it sucks up all the moisture in the bin. Because you know, whether you use cardboard or coco coir or you know, whatever you have as a good carbonous bedding, a lot of them will soak up water, which is a good thing. It'll if your bin gets too wet, it's good to have something that can soak it up. But if it does soak it up too much, it's a simple solution of just adding more water. So to that, I added my what you saw there was me adding the coffee grounds from the week, as well as the crushed up eggshell from the week. The eggshell's a good grit for them to use in their gizzards. The coffee grounds another good backup food. And then lastly, I'm going to add my food scraps that I use for the week. So there's not that many, but there is a good amount of food not completely broken down. So this should definitely get them through the week. That was a good amount, so I'm going to take some of the less broken down stuff and bury it in there, as well as all the worms on top of it. I'm going to leave this stuff stacked up on the side so it dries out. The worms don't like it when it's too dry, so they will leave the area that I let get dried out. And I'll be able to harvest some more castings in 2 weeks when I check on this again. And that's it. It took me about 8 minutes to do this whole bin. Bye.